First, we take you inside the Fresno County Superior Court in Fresno, California for a sentencing. 35-year-old Curtis Travis has been found guilty of murder, robbery, auto theft, and hit and run. Nearly 2 years earlier, Travis and 24-year-old Steven Stowers broke into a family's home and stole a laptop, cash, and keys to a pickup truck. The two men sped away, driving through red lights, before crashing into another vehicle. The driver of the other vehicle, Heliodoro Revolcaba, was killed in the crash. Travis and Stowers fled the scene on foot, but were arrested a few weeks later. Through blood evidence found in the truck, investigators determined that Travis was the driver of the stolen vehicle, though both men were charged in Heliodoro's death. They both pled not guilty. Stowers was found guilty of robbery and theft, but his murder trial ended with a hung jury. That was not the case, however, for Travis.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Curtis Wayne Travis, guilty of first-degree felony murder.
He was convicted on all charges. Today at sentencing, the two men appear before Judge Kent Hamlin to learn their fate. Travis is in a neck brace and has a black eye because of a headbutting incident with a jail deputy. Also in the courtroom is Heliodoro's family, including his niece, who delivers a victim impact statement.
He was the most wonderful man, father, husband, uncle. A very important life was taken. And I just hope that you guys learn from this experience, because that's what my uncle would want.
First, Stowers is sentenced to 6 years and 8 months in prison for robbery and theft. As for Travis, because he has a long criminal history, the prosecution is asking for the max, life in prison for first-degree felony murder. But before the judge can even begin, Travis lashes out.
Please, take me out of here, please. Take me out of here, like I asked.
Sir, you're going to be here for sentencing.
Still upset, Travis begins shouting about the blood evidence from his trial.
The blood showed that I was in the passenger seat. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Evidence!
I understand your argument, sir.
Yeah.
And it's not convincing.
And when the judge tries to continue, Travis has another outburst.
Of course, come on. I'm sitting in prison for the rest of my life for some you do.
Travis has words for almost everyone in the court, including Heliodoro's family.
Just like the family over there, they're happy. That's not what your brother or whoever he was. He didn't want me to like.
By now, 10 deputies have entered the courtroom, some with tasers, as Travis struggles to contain his emotion. While Travis continues sobbing, the judge allows his mother to deliver a statement to the court.
He didn't go out and take a gun and shoot somebody. I mean, it wasn't like he did it on purpose. I just apologize, and I'm sorry for everything. That's all I can say.
When she's finished, Judge Hamlin offers a statement of his own.
If you make the decision to invade someone's home, and you then selfishly put others at risk in your flight from the scene and someone dies, the fact that it's an accident doesn't change how dead Mr. Rubalcaba is or how much it hurt his family. Punishment for that crime is and should be life without the possibility of parole. And I would hope that if one young man makes a better choice to change their life before they find themselves where Mr. Travis is today, then Mr. Rubalcaba's life would not be lost in vain. I gotta have that hope. We all do. Because otherwise, this is just a tragedy. To no end.
When finished, the judge officially sentenced Travis to life in prison with no chance of parole.
Viva!
Next, we're in Jacksonville, Florida for an arraignment hearing. 24-year-old Rakeem Michener is accused of kidnapping and 2 counts of sexual battery. 4.5 years earlier, a woman riding her bicycle through the 5 Points neighborhood of Jacksonville was attacked by 3 men, dragged behind a building, and raped. DNA evidence collected did not match up with any existing offenders, and police had no other leads. The case went cold for 4 years until a national database matched the DNA samples to 20-year-old Stanley Armitage, who had recently pled guilty to home invasion in Oregon. When questioned about the Jacksonville sex assault, Armitage confessed and implicated 2 other men, Michener and 19-year-old Martin King. Armitage and King were both charged and held without bond. Michener was charged, but was already in prison for an armed robbery he committed in Jacksonville a year after the rape. Today, Michener is appearing before Judge Charles Coffer for a routine arraignment. But things take a turn when Michener suddenly lashes out.
Get out! Leave! 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 Get out!
Michener begins yelling, "Leave," repeatedly at the judge.
Leave! Leave!
Michener's own lawyer seems surprised
Get out!
and a bit confused by his client's reaction.
Leave! Leave! Leave!
After then yelling at the bailiffs, Michener's time in front of the judge is over.
Leave! 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 Leave!
Bailiffs forcibly remove him from the court and put him in a holding room as Michener continues to shout.
Get out! Get out!
Later, Michener was declared not competent to stand trial and placed in a mental health care facility. After treatment, his prosecution resumed. 6.5 years after the rape, Michener pled guilty and was sentenced to 25 years in prison and 10 years of sex offender probation. Stanley Armitage also pled guilty and was sentenced to 23 years in prison and 10 years of sex offender probation. Martin King took a plea deal and was sentenced to 7 years in prison for aggravated battery. He was released in 2020. We go to a bond hearing in Ashland, Ohio. 22-year-old Brock McKinney's been charged with domestic violence and aggravated menacing. A day earlier, McKinney, who's currently free on a recognizance bond for a number of driving offenses, was having an argument with his ex-girlfriend when the woman's grandmother, who lives 2 doors down, called police. They arrived with weapons drawn, believing McKinney was armed.
Hands up! Keep your hands up!
After a few minutes, the shirtless McKinney emerged from the home.
Why did you go back to the door? What are you gonna do, man? What's going on, bro? You got me up,
As police took McKinney into custody, he was clearly upset.
I am too, man, but
The next day, McKinney, who's appearing without an attorney, is brought before Judge John Good to learn if he'll make bond. The judge will also decide whether to issue a temporary protection order against McKinney.
Right, better knock the other 2 up right now.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Before the hearing even starts, McKinney uses some colorful language that the judge does not appreciate.
I'm finding the defendant in direct contempt for the profanity and disrupting the proceedings. Yeah, Steve. Anything you want to say before I sentence you for contempt?
Yes, Your Honor, I never got nobody, I never had no gun, they couldn't.
No, what you just said right here, that I'm finding you in contempt for. Is there anything you want to say before I sentence you for it? for direct contempt of court. You think I should have to put up with that sort of behavior?
Absolutely not, but
Then what are you gonna say?
guns pulled in my face.
What would you like to say before I sentence you for direct contempt? 10 days. Direct contempt. Use that kind of language again, disrupt this hearing again, it'll be 30.
The judge continues with the hearing, but McKinney decides he's not interested in sticking around.
I just went out of here, man. This is for a day, man. I don't give a For real, I don't give a about none of this.
Hold on a second, so once again, I'm gonna find the defendant in direct contempt.
That's fine, dude. I didn't even do
Anything else you want to say? For 30 days.
That's 30 days. Run that Make it 40, make it 60. I don't give a I'm going back to the joint.
With McKinney removed from the courtroom, it's up to the judge on how to proceed.
All right, since the defendant is not going to participate, what's the state's position on TPO here? Want to go forward in his absence?
In total, the judge holds McKinney in contempt for 40 days. But before the prosecutor begins, McKinney has a few more comments that can be heard from the hallway.
Now.
The prosecutor calls Officer Connor Black, who was at McKinney's home the night of the arrest, and spoke to the alleged victim.
Did you speak with them following that? I did. She stated that she wasn't able to leave her apartment. He had stated that he had a firearm. He said at one point, quote, "I'm going to smoke your ass." Yeah, he had stated something about breaking her jaw, putting her in the hospital, and then eventually into the morgue.
When police searched the trailer, they did not find a firearm, but they did find a half pound of marijuana, a violation of McKinney's recognizance bond.
Do you believe the defendant presents a credible threat of physical harm to the victim? I do. Do you believe protection order is necessary and appropriate to protect the victim? I do. Does she want a protection order? Yes.
With the questioning finished, Judge Good makes his ruling on the protection order.
You're going to find that the defendant constitutes a credible threat of physical harm to the alleged victim and to others, and that he has had the opportunity to participate in this hearing, and he's chosen not to do so. So I am going to grant the temporary protection order.
In addition to issuing a protection order, the judge revokes the defendant's recognizance bond as he serves his 40 days for contempt. The judge later set a new bond of $10,000, and McKinney pled no contest to all charges. He was sentenced to an additional 30 days in jail and a work release program of 45 days.
On record 03CR0288, Commonwealth versus Percy Allen Phillips.
Next, we head to Jefferson County Circuit Court in Louisville, Kentucky.
Jay Lambert on behalf of Mr. Phillips, Your Honor. He's present and seated next to me.
A hearing is underway to determine if 45-year-old Percy Phillips is competent to stand trial. Phillips is accused of retaliating against a witness inside the courtroom during a previous trial.
And it would be our position that Mr. Phillips is presently incompetent to stand trial. If we end up in trial, there is no way I can competently even frame a defense. I have asked Mr. Phillips, what do you want me to say or do at your trial? And he won't tell me. He literally, for years, has not said a word.
Before turning things over to the prosecution, Phillips' lawyer issues a warning.
Mr. Phillips has shared that he doesn't know exactly what he'll do in certain situations in the courtroom. He thinks he just may explode.
Now it's over to the prosecution.
Your Honor, it's interesting to remember that the conclusion of the case when the defendant was unhappy with the verdict and unhappy with the sentence. He threatened the police officer who testified against him.
Man, you a goddamn black person. You up, man? Who the first thing I ain't doing it.
Day was 16 to 239. I had to stun Percy Phillips. You want to come on up?
Remember that just moments earlier, Phillips' attorney seemingly predicted what was about to happen.
He thinks he just may explode.
After sitting for more than 20 minutes without showing a single emotion, Phillips erupts
You a mother
and heads towards the prosecutor's table.
black person.
Phillips is first grabbed by this deputy. What you can't hear on the tape is another deputy in the corner of the courtroom yelling the word taser. This is a signal for the other officer to move out of the way.
Who the first thing I ain't doing it.
Waiting for emergency personnel to arrive, the judge looks around her disheveled courtroom in disbelief.
Percy Phillips, he's laying on the ground.
Percy Phillips is later deemed incompetent and the indictment is dismissed. This is not the last time Phillips will see the inside of a Kentucky courtroom. While incarcerated, he's brought up on murder charges after his fingerprints link him to a 2-decade-old homicide.